Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Simracersworld TV and welcome to the Porsche Club GB Sim Racing Championship. We're here for the final race meeting of the season, and what a better place to do it than Oulton Park, the gem in the middle of Cheshire in the United Kingdom. One of the most original circuits in the world in terms of how it started out to how it is today. And a very big challenge for these cars indeed. And what better people to have in the commentary box? Two VCO Simi Award nominated commentators. Chaz Draycott here with the wonderful Peter MacKay alongside me. Peter, we've had another blast this season with this championship, and tonight it's just going to be another wonderful highlight, isn't it?
Oh, you flatter me, Chaz, to think that I'm on the same level as you. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to say. Thank you very much for the very kind introduction. Indeed, this is going to be a brilliant last day of school for the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship Season 2 already. It's just incredible that in just 6 months we've had two action-packed seasons, and as you rightly say, you could not pick a better facility to go to than Oulton Park for this season finale. It's, of course, our champion has been crowned. Ryan Parkins got the job done last time out, but that is just going to make sure the gloves are well and truly off. We're going to be in for two cracking races tonight.
We are. It's going to be absolutely brilliant stuff. As you can see as well, we're on the full international layout here of Oulton Park, so they go all the way down past the lake up towards the Shell Oils hairpin, the very banked and treacherous Shell Oils hairpin, down towards the little chicane before they go over Hilltop, down towards the famous Knickerbrook chicane, which has been changed a couple of times in its life, but then up the very treacherous Clay Hill towards Druids, one of the hardest corners in the UK, and not the Druids that we know and love from Brands Hatch, but Oulton Park, and then Lodge Corner, the final corner. As Peter and I were discussing before the broadcast tonight, probably one of the main overtaking opportunities tonight, isn't it there, mate? Because it's a very long braking zone, plenty of time for people to shove it up the inside and just get the car stopped.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen many overtaking manoeuvres pulled off there. We've also seen some attempted but not pulled off. Probably the most famous of which was when Matt Neal went up the inside of Gordon Shedden, ploughed into the side of him, and both of them and ended up in the gravel on the last lap. What was most embarrassing was that they were both teammates at the time. So I can imagine what the debrief must have been like afterwards. But yes, in general, that is the main overtaking opportunity. However, thinking back to one particular instance coming to my memory right now, Chaz, is on where Paul Riga was given the nickname Paul Anchors Riga when he pulled a move on the brakes into the Hislop chicane. So it's been done. We've seen it done. So watch out for there as well.
Yeah, indeed. It certainly is going to be fun to watch how these guys handle these cars down here. One of the main talking points all season has been how these cars behave on circuit, and we've said that because of the aggressive camber they run, they've got quite soft suspension for a race car, and obviously not a ton of aero. They've got that big wing on the back, but other than that, body-wise, they're not too far removed from the road cars. So there's a bit of a floaty aspect to it. Curbs can upset the car quite a lot, and we know that there's a lot of they're not sudden bumps around Oulton Park, are they? They're like really smooth little rises here and there. It's not a very even surface all round, but it adds that extra little challenge, doesn't it? If you've got a car around here with a lot of power, no traction control, those rears are going to spin up a lot here, aren't they? Even in a straight line at places.
Absolutely, yeah. You've really got to be ahead of the car here big time, and that only really comes with a lot of practice laps. And from what I've seen, we're both, of course, in the virtual paddock that the club have, and a lot of drivers putting in the hours in practice to try and get used to this car and track combination. This is a tricky circuit in any car, but in this particular machine, the 911 GT3 Cup, it's a wonderfully communicative machine. It really lets you know, good and bad, what is going on. But occasionally, it just that line of communication just breaks ever so slightly, and before you know it, you're in a massive tank slapper. So the drivers are really going to try, and you hear Dan Badley there just short shifting slightly. That what he's trying to do there is trying to, because he's got a wonderfully wide power band, this car, So you got a lot of power all the way up to the red line. And what Dan was doing there was just short shifting to try and smooth the power delivery out. And we'll see a lot of that tonight, where drivers will just smooth out those gear changes, change up a little bit early to try and calm the power delivery around. Because as you rightly say, Chaz, even in a straight line, you can get major wheel spin. And wheel spin equals, one thing it doesn't equal is a fast lap time.
Yeah, very true indeed. Like you say, the power band is very interesting on this car, because even in some of the slower corners, if you're a little bit eager on the throttle, you can sometimes find the rear coming out, especially around there. You could hear how low the revs were around Lodge, but because it's over a crest, you've got a lot of lock on as well. The car's just slowed down, it sort of pitches in, it rotates, it's doing everything at once, is this car around there. And with all the weight over the rear where the engine is, you've got obviously the big wing on the back as well. It's so easy to pitch these things into a spin. But qualifying, as you can see, everybody, is well underway now. We've got quite a bit of time left. We have noticed a couple of different liveries out there. Now, Ryan Penny is somebody who is known for doing some wonderful liveries, and he's brought us this incredible creation for the evening.
The Jaeger Bull!
The Jaeger Bull, which is just wonderful, I must say. Spec Mac work as well, absolutely on point. And, well, I mean, Peter was very excited to have a look at this one, but he's certainly done us a good job there, hasn't he, mate?
Oh my word, that is straight to the top of the pile. Oh, on a bit of oversteer. Yeah, go on, Ryan, give it some. Yeah, well, this is just superb. This is, of course, in homage. Well, it's in homage to a lot of different liveries, as we can see. The inspiration was from your good self, Chaz, when you mentioned the BAR liveries of the Formula One cars in the early 2000s, which had two different types of cigarette brand along each side. It had 555 and Lucky Strike, both brands of the British American Tobacco Company. And this is a different vice. Jaeger bombs. Well, no, don't pretend you've never had one. Just don't even pretend you've never had one. You have, whether you like it or not. And yes, the probably interesting. I mean, obviously we've seen Red Bull on so many race cars. Likewise, Jägermeister. But both of these particular beverage brands, one alcoholic, one non-alcoholic, have actually done quite a lot for one another. They both kind of dragged each other along to fame and, infamy in some cases, if you want to go to Sauchiehall Street on a Saturday night. That's in Glasgow. That's not the place you'd want to go, honestly.
I just love how glossy one side is and the beautiful metallic effect on the other, and obviously the metallic bull as well. The red done nicely. Bit of a slide there. Another livery, by the way, that I noticed that changed is Johnny Elia's car. Usually black and white. He's got it red and white because it's a Christmassy livery. It's like the snow around the edges of it, and we absolutely love that here on Simracersworld TV. We're a big fan of a good livery, and of course, Stuart Clark in his different livery this season. That's been a real change to see. We've got Danny Jones out there in the Haribo car, still with a smile on its face, the Haribo bear. Absolutely loving that. Mark Searle is apparently off the circuit. He's just had a little moment there in the BWT machine. Gorgeous car once again. But it's Matt Dorrington, who it's great to see back right up there. And look at the metallic green around here. It looks amazing, glowing in this sort of low light that we've got here at Oulton Park. It's just golden. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it looks very nice indeed, doesn't it? It reminds me of the Tequila Patron cars that we saw in sports car racing a little just not so long ago. But speaking of liveries, classic livery here, the Whereby Porsche of Mark Phillips. And last night, Chaz, we were playing Porsche Sport Top Trumps using Mark's amazing Whereby video software. It was honestly like being in the room beside the our fellow contestants, and it came down. So you know, in Top Trumps, you all drop off one by one, and I didn't win one single hand. So the two remaining, it was a showdown between Mark and Austin, and honestly, I can't remember who won because, quite frankly, I don't care. Well, it was a gap. What I could tell you though, Chaz, is that someone with the wrong gearbox in their Porsche won.
I can sense some salt. I can sense a little bit of salt on that, but either way, I know that the guys in the paddock, I mean, I recently, I'll hold my hands up that I only recently joined the virtual paddock within Discord for the Porsche Club GB Sim Racing Championship after Peter had told me for so long to get involved and get on it. But I'm in that many Discord servers, I don't know whether I'm coming or going half the time I'm there. But yes, the community,
popular man.
the community behind it has been brilliant, and the amount of chatting the guys do. We have Crime Stoppers as well, which is after every single round where some of the guys look over incidents that have gone on, they give verdicts on it and why, and they do like nearly 2 hours worth of analysis and then put it together in a big video, send it out to everyone so they can see what they've deemed to be whose fault in incidents. And it's a fantastic way of doing it, because some of the lesser experienced drivers that we've got in this championship can learn what they could potentially do in certain situations or how other drivers may react to it. And it's just wonderful. It really is. And I mean, even before I joined in that, I adored the community behind this championship and behind Porsche Club GB. But honestly, just from seeing it from a broadcasting perspective was good enough for me. But seeing that as well, it's been really top notch. And they've been very well receiving of me as well, and everything that Peter and I have been doing. And yeah, it's truly wonderful. So long may it continue. Long may it continue.
Absolutely. Hopefully we'll get asked back next year, Chaz. Hopefully we've done enough. Hopefully we've not told too many bad jokes and too many dodgy puns as well. But I echo your sentiments there with the driver development. I think I would urge anyone to, after they've watched this race, watch the first ever race at Donington.
Yeah.
And you see two completely different motor races. Completely different. And that all comes down to the endless work that various, and too many to mention actually, within the... In fact, it's actually everybody who's been involved, full stop, who's got involved and put practice in and done training and what have you. And I don't know any other... All I see in other leagues is basically, you know, it's either you're a bit like professional motorsport, it's either you're told if it's your fault or not, and often not given an explanation, just that, you know, points on your license or banned from the next round or whatever, whether you've got a right to appeal or not. But here it's very much more an approach to try and help everybody along, and you just have to look at this race compared to Donington Park only 6 months ago, don't forget. And that just shows you everything you need to see.
Yeah, the difference really is blinding. It's just how far they've all come since day dot is just brilliant. Really is. And, you know, there's been new drivers come along as well that have sort of had, as Byron Crawford loops it slightly on the exit of Knickerbrook, there's been new drivers come in that we hadn't seen before that have differing levels of experience. I mean, Patrick Charlton, who we were looking at a moment ago, he's raced a lot of different things in real life, and, you know, he's getting used to the sim. Other drivers have no experience in real cars, but they're just getting on the sim as well and seeing what they can do. In all honesty, it's been beautiful to see the development of it and how they all help each other, like you say. Carl Hazelton, he's back out there tonight. We were not poking fun at Carl, I don't think is the right phrase, but
not at all.
We were commenting a lot on Carl as in the hope of getting a hire car from Porsche Centre Chester, where Carl works.
Said there is. It says it's waiting.
Well,
he did.
I'd be very excited to go and have a go. Very excited indeed. But someone that will be excited is Matt Dorrington, who is on pole position at the moment, with Dan Bathy alongside him. Ryan Parkins, your newly crowned champion, starts third alongside the aforementioned Patrick Charlton. We then have Mark Baxter-Jones alongside Carl Sharkey on row 3, with Johnny Elia alongside Gary Tall on row 4. Then we have James Cummings and Mark Phillips rounding out your top 10, Byron Crawford and Oliver Carwadine on row 6. They're followed by Mark Johnson and Paul Rieger, with Stuart Clark and Danny Jones behind them. Then it's Angus Archer and Chris Bowie, with Mark Bowe and Colin Wynne rounding out your 20. We then have Stephen Kershaw alongside Amrik Sashdev, with Gilles Gardner and Ryan Penny on the 12th row of the grid. Then we have Carl Hazelton alongside Andrew Soper, with Mark Sill, Andrew Marston and Jamie Ward rounding out the field. So Matt Dorrington then, Peter, back once again, like a renegade master. Do you think that he's got a chance of winning this one if Dan Bathy doesn't get him early on?
Well, I don't know. I'm just going to see is there power for the people. Let's see. Well, Dan Bathy on the front row. Watch for him. I hope he's had his sacred coffee. I've had mine. I'm ready to go. I've got a 100 pack of sacred coffee pods in it. Well, it's not 100 in it anymore. It was when it arrived. It's been heavily depleted, but he'll be raring to go. And no King Hippo on the front row. No Ryan Parkins on the front row, starting from third.
Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting one to see Ryan not able to top the times here, but like we said before, it's a very, very difficult circuit and it's easy to pick up those 1x penalties which invalidate your lap. We're just waiting for Patrick Charlton, Paul Rieger, Jamie Ward and Ryan Parkins. We know that at Suzuka, Ryan had an issue and suddenly was jumped to the pits, but he has taken to the grid this time round. Just as typical, isn't it? Just as I look away at the timing screen, he then lights up and he appears. Patrick Charlton still hasn't taken to the grid, but he's only got a matter of seconds to do so. Same with Paul Rieger. We've seen that from him before, but it seems that round 15 of the Porsche Club GB Sim Racing Championship will get underway without them. And they're away. You can see who's mastered the launch control and who hasn't, though. Wonderful stuff from Ryan Parkins. It looks like he's got past Dan Bathy. No, not quite. Through turn one they go. Old Hull corner, such a treacherous corner to get right. There's a dip halfway around, and then, of course, there's a jump over the apex as it goes over the crest of the hill. Patrick Charlton and Jamie Ward coming out of the pits. But it's Matt Dorrington leading the way. Dan Bathy is held on to second place as they go towards the Shell Oils hairpin. But, I mean, even this, Peter, compared to last time we were here, it's already a cleaner race already. It's an amazing improvement.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a lot to do with the orange zone rule. So that rule is, if you cause an incident in the opening lap, you have to take yourself for a drive-through penalty, and that's cleaned up the opening lap massively, and that allows the field to stretch out a little bit more to get into a comfortable position. Stuart Clark, that's not comfortable, that's massive. Now that is just cold tyres locking up on the brakes. There's no anti-lock braking system like you'd have in a road-going 911. Just grabbed that front brake and round he went. He was a passenger.
Yeah, I think there might have been a bit of assistance from some grass there as well, you know, on the right-hand side. It's easy when you're going round this right-hander, you touch the brakes, yeah, the car slightly moves over to the right and it carries the momentum on the brakes and then spits him the other way. I think, despite hitting those tyres pretty hard, I think he might have got away with that a little bit there, you know. I've seen people get wedged in those tyres, not able to move, but he's done a great job there. Oh, he's gone off again. Oh, now he's not got away with that one.
Oh dear. Well, the thing is that first impact at the chicane there at Britain's, that was of course impact with the engine bay, so bound to have made an impact to the engine. But
yeah.
Now that might look clumsy, but that's actually really easy to do because you're trying to get the car to turn. And one thing about a 911 is when it gets into a little bit of a pendulum, you've got to be ready for it, because if you're not, it will take you for a ride. And actually, Mark Bowe went off in sympathy there. He's like, dear, don't scratch the paint.
Yeah, it's a nightmare to clean when it's satin. Now, we've got Mark Phillips with Byron Crawford right behind him, as that's a huge lock-up just in front. That was Carl Sharkey. Caravan Carl deciding that he doesn't like that, the shape of that front right tyre on the way into the Shell Oils hairpin. Love that little chicane down there. I believe it's called the Britain's chicane, is it?
That's correct. Yeah, named after John Britton, the motorcycle engineer who built the Britain V1000. Only 10 of them ever built, and for many, the ultimate motorcycle.
Well, it's aptly named then. It's a very, very interesting chicane. It's a beautiful spectator spot. It's a real shame, though, because Oulton Park, hands down, has to be the best circuit in the country for spectators in terms of what you can see and how much of the circuit you can see from certain places. But it's a real shame that chicane, while it's so interesting to watch the cars, especially GT3 cars, cane it down from the Shell Oils hairpin. I remember specifically watching an SLS AMG GT3 for the first time come down there, hard onto the brakes, into the chicane, barely misses the tyres, jumps both curbs, and then you just see it bouncing and trying to get the back end settled down as it goes up the hill. It's an incredibly difficult piece of circuit to get right, and it's beautiful to watch, but it just means that you can barely see any of the rest of the track, which is a shame.
Yeah, I have to echo your sentiments. It is a wonderful spectating circuit. It's just a nice place to be. Oh, someone's put Carl Hazelton off. He can't have made a mistake. That's impossible. Carl Hazelton in the Porsche Centre Chester, number 24 car. Oh, look, oil slick. Look, see that oil slick? See? That is rotten luck for Carl Hazelton from Porsche Centre Chester.
Yeah, just we know how easy it is. It must be the Patrick Charlton effect. Every car he goes behind just seems to drop it in front of him, unfortunately. Andrew Soper, luckily, not making any contact there. Ryan Penny's gone off now as well. He didn't have him behind him when he went off as well, did he? Let's have a look. Oh, he's gone off twice here, actually. Sorry. This is the Jaeger Bull. It's Amrik Sashdev behind him, but he's just gone in. Oh, if you say you have never done that, you're a liar. Because going into Cascades, you always think, oh, it's fine, you know, the camber's on my side here, it'll help me. But there's this horrible dip. It's like a roller coaster when you get to the fast bit. It suddenly just goes almost vertical as you get onto the brakes, and it pushes the weight of the car forward. And if you've got a lot of rearward brake bias in your car, you're either going to lock up or spin out or just overshoot the corner. And it is such a nightmare to get right. I've had people say before, why do you think Cascades is so scary, Chaz? It's not that difficult. But when you see it in a sim that's got Oulton Park scanned as accurately as this, and you have that dip on the way in, it'd scare any man out of his skin, to be fair. I wouldn't like to do it in real life, but at the same time I think I would. Now, Matt Dorrington, he's becoming a little bit pressurised here from Dan Bathy. Ryan Parkins may have done the fastest lap of the race behind them, but he just doesn't seem to be able to stick with them consistently at the minute. Dan Bathy's looking racy here.
Yeah, just the lap before, Dan Bathy set the fastest lap of the race, also 1:36.0. So Dan Bathy's definitely had a sacred coffee. I think he's maybe had the Wellington blend, which is the slightly stronger espresso blend. If you prefer a shorter coffee, you go for the Wellington, the red capsule. As well, it's a little bit stronger, so he's obviously had that. He's very much up for it today through the Britain chicane, a hop, skip and a jump, and yeah, he's up for this one. Of course, he's had a round off, so it's been a month since he's been racing with the Porsche Club of Great Britain guys. And oh, now who is that off? Is that Paul Riga off on the right hand side there? Yeah,
Paul Riga's had an issue, I'm afraid. He's been off track at some point. Let's have a look on the way into the chicane. Oh, he's gone in a bit hot, and then it just goes straight on. And I've seen cars end up in the fence on the infield, and I've also seen people end up in the tyres there and get wedged. I'm talking to you, Andy Fox, from the British Boring Car Championship. But, yeah, it doesn't seem to be going Paul's way tonight, unfortunately. He qualified 14th, so mid-pack. Not as high as we've seen him before, but this is one of those circuits, when you put it on a calendar, it throws up some very different results sometimes to what you'd expect normally in a season, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yes, absolutely. It's a circuit where you will get some guys that, I mean, I think everyone enjoys it. It's just whether you're, I mean, I love driving around here, but God, am I slow. I mean, but you think, I was on the limit there. Oh, and you look at the time and you're just like, I'm glad, don't quit the day job, Peter, sort of thing. You know, it's just like, wow, but really, really fun to drive. I mean, Dan Bathy, though, he's got it absolutely in the groove tonight. Brilliant to see him challenging. You know, remember, Matt Dorrington and Ryan Parkins have both qualified for the Porsche Carrera Cup Esports of Great Britain, which was, you know, you've got some World Championship drivers in there, and it was hotly contested to get a spot on the grid, and they both qualified. So, you know, Dan Bathy is up there punching with the best of them.
Yeah, it's great to see as well, because not only is this sort of like a club championship, you know, there's some incredible talent in here. These cars are not easy to drive, and even the guys further down the field, you know, they do a great job of getting these cars round a lap with the pace they do. I mean, I wouldn't be able to compete with these guys. I like to think in certain cars I'm quite decent, but honestly, I couldn't drive this car the way these guys do. It really is epic, and Matt Dorrington has opened up that gap at the front again, but still, Bathy and Parkins both in the 35.9s last time round. That's some severe pace around here. I think Dan's just gone a little bit hot into the final corner. He's lost 2/10 just there to Matt Dorrington. But yes, as you mentioned, Peter, the Porsche Carrera Cup of Great Britain esports event, or esports series that'll be going on. There's some incredible names in that one. But look at that from Dorrington, 35.6. Hello, sunshine.
Where did that come from?
He's turned that on. Wow. But there is, again, just going back to it, there are some insane names in that series. There's a couple of friends of mine from the Apex Racing team as well, the World Championship team and iRacing, that are taking part in that one. That I'm looking forward to seeing how they get on. But it's wonderful to see that we're going to get some of the drivers that we commentate on almost weekly up against drivers that we've only ever seen in World Championship events before. So when you can mix the two like that, it really makes for a very interesting bit of viewing for us, doesn't it?
Indeed, yeah, and actually I think the qualification process was very good. It was a lap time, a solo lap time, from what I understand, rather than qualification heats, which it is for the Tag Heuer Porsche Esports Super Cup. And those, some of those qualification races where you talk about lack of respect and lack of conduct. Oh my word, it was just lawless. Whereas that is just a measure of pure pace, and both Matt and Ryan have both got in on merit. And as well, you can see the pace that Matt's laying down right now. You can see exactly why. Patrick Charlton now making his way through the oh dear. Ouch.
Yeah, that was Stephen Kershaw there. I'm not sure that he meant to move over that far to the right, but unfortunately pretty big contact. We've also had an issue for Jamie Ward in the Coca-Cola machine, I'm afraid. He's just, you can see the rear trying to get away with him. Just a little bit late on the brakes. Keeps it out of the tyres, to be fair to him. That's not easy to do in itself. We've just had Mark Searle have an issue in one of the 2 pink Porsches just on their way down there as well. And this is what we were saying before. It's easy to loop these things, isn't it, in slower corners just because of the way the car balances. Patrick Charlton. I think the car's damaged now. He's been off again since that previous incident. There he is flashing the lights. I don't think that's going to make it go any quicker, Patrick, but we know it gives you 15 horsepower normally, but yeah, that's not a happy car or a happy driver right now.
No, absolutely not. But can go into pit lane and get a fast repair and get back out there, turn some laps. I think track time is just... I don't think you'll find a circuit short of the Nordschleife where track time is more important. This is quite a lot, a wide layout. There's lots of little nooks and crannies you need to learn, and this car particularly, it's not gonna swell your ego. This car, definitely not. It's not gonna let you away with anything. So you don't really want to go and sit in the pit lane. Go in, get the repair, and get back out and turn some laps. Even if you've got to come back and have a go at race 2, it doesn't mean that Patrick Charlton will have a very strong grid spot for race 2, and we know how quick he is, so who knows, we could see Patrick get a win in race 2. But riding on board with Gary Tall, now I must apologise, I got so excited 2 weeks ago telling our viewers about some of the wonderful cars that Gary continues to own and has owned, and I said that he was a Subaru Impreza fan. He's actually a Mitsubishi Evo fan, and right, so apologies, public apology, very, very sorry, Gary. For those, you were of a similar vintage, Chaz, where you're either an Evo guy or you're an Impreza guy. There's very, very little crossover.
Yeah, it's like...
What side of the fence would you sit on, do you think?
Evo, always Evo.
Yes, you are.
Unfortunately, I know too many friends of mine that have had Subarus that just blow up, and people do make memes about it and make jokes that Subaru engines blow up, but it's one of the few car reliability sort of rumours that I do see come true. Like everyone always says about Alphas blowing up, but I don't know of any that have. I obviously don't know enough people that own Alphas, but yeah, the Subarus blowing up, they may have that distinctive boxer noise, but I just... Give me a Mackinnon edition Evo 6 any day of the week and I'll be a happy boy. It's one of the greatest cars ever made in my opinion. It's just looks the part, goes well, but not goes as well as these things, but yeah, certainly is an interesting bit of kit. And Chris Bowie has... Oh no, that's Colin Wynn. He's definitely not going to win after that one. That was a huge off. Now Chris Bowie had an issue and I think Colin was just trying to make his way through there. Oh, he's hit the tyres. Car goes around, gets going again. And then,
and Colin had nowhere to go. It's blind crest there too, isn't it?
Yeah, let's just see it from on board Colin's car. Like the fact the roll cage is blue. So you can see that Chris is off on the right, gets going, and then the line just closes really quickly for him, doesn't it? It looks like he might be able to just smooth it out and get over the hill, but that's a real shame for Colin Wynn, and a shame for Chris as well, because it was just an innocent spin and an innocent slide at first, but then it became quite a big incident. Now, Gary Tall, who we were looking at a moment ago, has got Johnny Elia. He's sort of bungee jumping off the back of this car, isn't he? He's closing in. Oh, there you go. That's definitely more than a bungee jump. I was going to say he's closing in, then losing a bit of time, but he's going to go down the inside now up towards Shell Oils. That's very, very close. Gary Tall gets a bit of the grass. Oh, that's a recipe for disaster on the way in. Does he get it stopped? Oh.
Well done.
Yeah, very well done indeed there. James Cummings got a bit lucky to not get caught up in that, but yeah, that's not somewhere you want to go off there up towards the Shell Oils hairpin, is it? That is a scary, scary bit of road.
I thought James Cummings was doomed there with Gary Tall coming across. Oh my word! And Gary said he's had another off there as well. I tell you what, a Subaru Impreza driver wouldn't have made that mistake. In case you're wondering, Chaz, I have very much of the Subaru side of the coin because could you tell? Because Colin McRae, Peter Solberg, I rest my case.
Richard Burns as well.
Richard Burns, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree on that, to be fair. And I won't lie, I think the 2004 sort of, oh, hello, Stuart Clark there, just getting down the inside of Andrew Marston. I think it was either the version of the Subaru that came after the Bug-Eye one. I think it was the 2004 Impreza.
Blob-Eye.
Yeah, not the one with the bug eyes, but the one after it, where it sort of had it was a circle in a bit, and then a bit more square on the edge bit. I can't describe it very well. That was probably one of my favourite looking rally cars of all time, in all fairness. Yeah,
apparently the gearboxes cost £150,000 for those cars. That was it was cheaper to buy a whole Group N car than a Subaru World Rally Car gearbox. Yeah, days of plenty indeed. Yeah, that's it. Peter Solberg won the World Championship in that car in 2003. And then Loeb went on his cakewalk.
Yes, Loeb certainly did have a cakewalk is definitely the right way of saying it. Yeah, it was the 2005-2006 cars. I've just had a quick Google there which year it was, but yeah, the 2005 car was probably the prettiest iteration, but the 2006 one looked a little bit more evil, and it was very tasty indeed. I think the Evos at the time didn't really suit the liveries they had. They looked a bit plain and a little bit plastic, but road car wise, love it. Now, Byron Crawford's just had a bit of an off there. I think, is it just too hot into the chicane? We've all done it. It's a bit of a weird one to get right. Oh, Angus Archer would have been holding his breath if he would have been looking in his mirrors there. That was a very scary one. Stuart Clark's just gone off. Oh, hello, mate. That's a proper off, that is. Gets going again. But, again, we're just seeing this circuit bite people in the backside, but it's what we expected, isn't it? You know, it's a hell of a circuit to end a season in, but a season at. But, oh, Gary Tolles.
Hi.
Yeah, not easy, this place. Wow.
I think I've seen that one before. That's a new one. That's certainly an original crash, that's for sure. So what on earth happens here? Comes around the final corner at Lodge, down to your leap, and does he just get... Oh, just when he asks for the power, it just goes, nope. Michelin Man just waves his finger back and forward, says, nah.
Says, what, you want to go in the pits, do you?
No.
Watch this.
Have new ones. Buy some new Michelin type.
Yeah, let's go get some fresh rubber, mate. These ones are shattered. Right then, we've got Carl Sharkey now, Caravan Carl. The roles have been reversed a little bit here. He's got the tow hook on the back of it now, straggling along behind him. I say straggling, though. He's doing a good job in 8th place. Is Bernie himself, Mark Phillips. Fantastic guy, brilliant organiser of this series with the team that he's got as well. Oh, James Cummings is off. Oh, no. Well, he's off into the tyres. And again, we've all been there, mate. I think everybody in sim racing, if they've been on this circuit, you've been off at every corner, haven't you? Especially in a car like this. But that's a real shame for James Cummings. He was doing a brilliant job before. But now, he's given a couple of positions away to these guys. But I think Mark, you know, he's in a good position here. He could potentially take this. We've got 2.5 minutes to go. It's 1.5 minutes a lap, which is, to be fair, incredible pace around here. But I think if he gets a good enough run somewhere and just focuses on his lines, he could have Carl here. What do you reckon?
Well, the one thing about, Mark, we've said so many times, Mark does a great job of organising and running the championship here, as does, this is, of course, his right-hand man, Carl Sharkey, who's also involved in the background as well. Now, you'll have heard of something called diplomatic immunity, Chaz, where basically diplomats can do whatever they like and get away with it, more or less. Now, Bernie has something called dictator immunity, which means he can suspend it from downtown, take Carl off, go by, and he won't be reprimanded for it because, well, he's Bernie and nobody can reprimand Bernie.
I like that. I wish I had that in a series somewhere. But we've got Mark Johnson then.
That was a joke, by the way, folks, just in case you were right then.
I was going to say, that could have been taken very seriously. I'm not sure whether Bernie will ask for us back. But at the moment, it's actually, fortunes have very quickly changed. So commentator's curse has hit once again for Mark Phillips. And now Mark Johnson is right behind him. Stephen Kershaw is off the road on the exit of Cascades. That seems like a new one as well, actually. Usually, you're off in a different postcode if you've gone off at Cascades. But let's see what Stephen managed here. He's been off for a while by the look of it, though. Oh, actually. Oh, Bernie.
Bernie.
It's the Chaz curse. As soon as you look away from a car, it goes off. Jamie Ward's in there. Oh, Mark's just... Oh, maybe he's just lost his head a bit, overtaking the traffic. Jamie's gone off and... Well, he's staying out of the way, definitely. I think he's just wondering, did he have anything to do with Mark going off, bless him, but... Nope, unfortunately, for Mark. He did that all on his own there. But back out of the front, 2.7 seconds the lead now from Matt Dorrington to Dan Bathy. There he is. And then just behind, you'll see Ryan Parkins, your newly crowned champion. Another 2.7 seconds back. It's been quite a stable race up at the front, hasn't it?
Very, very, very steady, consistent, and running very hot pace as well. Stuart Clark's off the wall. We've seen a lot of cars off there coming into Shell Oils. It's very fast, and the car just does not want to turn through there. You really got to play it on the tightrope there. As Ryan, oh dear, Ryan goes by. No contact there. Just Andrew Soper just trying to get by. Now I believe Andrew Soper is a Subaru man. So clearly that incident wasn't his fault.
Well, there's the rally heritage coming out in him there, with going across the grass, of course. Oh, Johnny Elia. No, Johnny was having such a good race. Such strong pace at the moment. And Gary Toll's had another issue as well. We've got cars dropping off all over the place. What's he done? Oh, it's the tyres. And that's such a small spin as well. That's going to be a really frustrating one. Now, what happened to Gary Toll? Oh, he's copied him. Sympathy. Oh, that's... Whoa, Gary. I didn't expect him to go that way. I thought he'd turn left. Whoa. And now Angus Archer's off. And it's all over. Dorrington's won it. Apologies, I thought we were getting another lap there. Dorrington wins. Bathy second, Parkins third. Where did that race go, Peter?
I don't envy you, Chaz. You've got to keep an eye on all these incidents. Like, oh, and so-and-so's off. Oh, and they're off. Oh, and they're off. But then one thing else, though, Chaz, is that these are the difference is these are incidents drivers are making on their own. It's not as if they're just ploughing somebody into the barrier, as we often see. But yeah, it's been a tricky race for quite a few of the drivers. But they'll come back. They've got another chance in the reverse good races. Bernie, can he get nipped at the line from James Cummings? No. I'm sure he'll be communicating through a type of video conferencing service. Have some of your sponsors' product, a nice called Doombar as well.
I'm sure he will, mate. I'm sure he will. Stephen Kershaw round the final corner then. Out of Lodge, down the hill. Or Deer Leap, as I should say. And across the line, you can just see Amrik Sashdev at the bottom of his shot there as well. Gilles Gardner crossing the line to finish 19th, and Ryan Penny is going to round out your top 20 in the Jaeger Bull, but he's got at least another sort of 10% of the lap to go yet, which is made up of the final corner and Deer Leap. You can just see the way that Lodge works. It's such a scary corner, and across the line goes Ryan Penny. We've had an off for Andrew Marston at Druids. He's getting going again. Is he? I think so. I'm not quite sure what's happened. He's gone in. Is he going to hit the curb? Oh, now.
Oh, dear.
That, to me, looks like a hardware failure or maybe VR, something like that. Not sure what's gone on there. Let's just have a quick look at the wheel as he comes round here. Does it suddenly straighten up? Yeah, it does. That's some sort of hardware failure, that. Maybe the wheel. Now, it's still moving a little bit, obviously, based on force feedback, and then suddenly it comes back to him. That's a real shame for Andrew Marston there. But first race of the night is done with, and to be honest, yeah, like I said, mate, that really, really did fly by. Let's have a quick look at the results then of the first race as we go into warm-up for race 2. Matt Dorrington takes another win this season ahead of Dan Bathy and Ryan Parkins. Mark Baxter-Jones stayed under the radar in 4th place as well. Carl Sharkey finished in 5th ahead of Mark Johnson, and Johnny Elia unfortunately dropping down due to that incident near the end. Danny Jones, another one under the radar there in 8th position, with Oliver Carwadine getting a top 10 just ahead of Gary Toll. Behind him was James Cummings, with Mark Phillips right behind him as well over the line. Chris Bowie finishes 13th with Byron Crawford in 14th. Then we have Angus Archer and Colin Wynn in 16th with Amrik Sashdev and Stephen Kershaw 17th and 18th. Behind them was Gilles Gardner and Ryan Penny rounding out your top 20. followed by Mark Bowe and Carl Hazelton. Then we have Andrew Marston and Andrew Soper in 23rd and 24th, both a lap down. Stuart Clark joins them a lap down with Mark Searle 2 laps down. Then it's Jamie Ward and Patrick Charlton 27th and 28th, and sneaking in at the bottom there in 29th is Paul Rieger. But what a performance though for Matt Dorrington there in that one, Peter. That was all he needed to do really, wasn't it? That was great.
Yeah, that was a proper classy drive there from Matt Dorrington. He just, from pole, cleared away. And he was put under quite a significant amount of pressure from Dan Baddy, who, of course, came home a very, very impressive second place. But just when Dan got close enough, it's almost as if Matt Dorrington just hit the afterburners and thought, okay, we've got to go now, and he did. That just shows you how classy and how controlled that performance was from Matt Dorrington. Very impressive. Of course, as we know, in race 2, you'll have to start from the very back of the grid, and particularly here at Oulton, that's going to be a whole different challenge for Matt. But can he do the double? We'll see.
Now, I just want to point something out to people here, that how considerate Oulton Park were when they built the hospitality building that you can see at the bottom of the pit lane there, at the bottom of your shot, the square building, 4 windows on the sides. Now, the curved roof just next to that is actually the commentary box at Oulton Park. So as you can see, you've got a beautiful view of the straight, exactly what goes on in front of you, and then as of turn 1, you've got no view whatsoever because they've got this massive dock-off hospitality building right in the way, which really did surprise me when I went down there at the end of 2018 to have a quick go. You've got the timing room and everything else in the other building on the other end of the pit lane, or the other end of the pit garage, as you could say. And, they've got a beautiful view, not really obstructed by anything. You can actually see more up there than you can from the commentary box, which seems a shame, but yeah, it does baffle me, the fact that they've built that there. It's a bit of a strange one indeed.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to make a great deal of sense, does it?
That's my one complaint about Oulton.
Yes, I mean, I think that's, you've got to, if you're going to find something, that is one of them. And isn't that amazing that there's obviously a very very wise business person in Cheshire who imports special types of American HGV lorries as well. I mean, with the big pipes out the top of it as well. Very impressive as well. Been dropped in there, but we're very lucky with that at Knockhill Racing Circuit. We've got the Gary Stagg commentary tower, and it is very much just a tower, but it's right in the middle of the track, and you can see pretty much everything. There's only one tiny little blind spot at Duffus Dip, but it's only for about half a second or so. So you can fill in the gaps between those parts.
Yeah, there's a big variation in the quality of commentary boxes from circuit to circuit. I was warned of this when I started doing real circuit commentary, and then I've come to witness that in a lot of very different ways. But to be fair, it's just part of the job, and it's wonderful because you get to see all these different environments and these different circuits. It's a great thing to have, and even doing this in the sim as well, it helps because you get used to watching cars and how they behave around certain parts of this circuit, and I think that really does help when it comes to the real stuff as well. Don't you agree?
I would say so. Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that one. Now, I think it would be time for a wee fun fact, Chaz. We had so much going on in the first race. I thought, did you know that here at Oulton Park, Stirling Moss won the only ever Formula 1 race in a 4-wheel drive car?
I didn't know.
A non-championship, of course.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was a non-championship round they hosted, wasn't it? But I never knew that they allowed a 4-wheel drive car into Formula 1.
A Ferguson 4-wheel drive, of all things. So Stirling Moss was that good he could win in a tractor, even in a Formula 1 race. I always think of Matthew Ferguson when I think of that. But Stirling Moss, 5 times a winner of the Oulton Park Gold Cup.
And it's a hell of an event as well. I mean, it's the one event that comes around every year, and I've already made plans for that weekend, and I forget to sort of book it off or just make sure that I've got nothing else in the diary, because you get old classic Formula 1 cars, you get just classic sort of Formula Fords and 1600s, and then on top of that, I mean, my absolute dream, of course, the Super Tourers. The HSCC come to play. You get 1990 Super Tourers and even Tourers from like the late 80s as well, all on track together, And it's not like a slow parade of just, oh, look how great these cars are. It's, let's absolutely rag the nuts off these things. And if we have door-to-door contact and we have an accident, we'll fix it. Let's properly race these cars how they should have been raced, and on a circuit where they should be properly raced. And I won't lie, the first time where I properly appreciated Super Tourers and saw the Laguna, the Mondeo, the Volvo, and the Honda Accord from 1999 all come 2 by 2 up towards Druids through the forest in the bright sunshine. A moment like that, especially with the noise of the Volvo as well, will live with me for a very, very long time. And the Gold Cup really is. I mean, if anybody watching hasn't ever been to the Gold Cup at Oulton Park and you do get the chance to go, I implore you, please do. It is such a wonderful event. It's a real cherry on the cake at such a good circuit, isn't it, Peter?
It is, and it's been going since 1954. That was the first ever international race here at Oulton Park, just a year after the circuit opened, where they had an event for F3 cars and for motorcycles. It also was, now something I'd love to see come back, actually, Chaz, and we have a little bit of an equivalent of it here in the sim world, where we had the International Sim Racing Challenge between Porsche Club of Great Britain and the Porsche Club of America, and I believe we might have a similar thing coming up in 2021. But there used to be a motorcycle race called the Transatlantic Match Races, where riders would come over from the United States and would race against riders from the United Kingdom on a steady rule platform. And you could do that today quite easily with the Superbike rules. It's the same rule set run over in America as it is in the UK. I'd love to see that come back. The Transatlantic Match Races, and they were held here at Oulton Park as well as at Brands Hatch.
Well, it's a good circuit for it. I mean, you could argue that sometimes it doesn't have the sort of grandstand-esque facilities. You know, there's a small grandstand on the exit of this corner now, Old Hall, on the left-hand side. They've fitted small grandstands, of course, down at Knickerbrook. It's not a premier racing circuit, which really sort of makes me sad, but happy in a way, because I like the fact that, some people, if they haven't heard of it, they don't really appreciate Oulton Park. You don't always get massive crowds flocking there. It's the biggest crowd of the year in the British Touring Car Championship, but when you have the club meetings and things, it's often very quiet because of the size of the place. And I love going to those meetings, because you could be stood on Hilltop, and this section of the circuit now will go on board actually with Angus Archer. So from where he is now all the way over this hill, there could be literally you and 5 other people. And it's just so quiet and lovely, but you get to see some epic racing, and I like that about it. I really do. It does have a sort of club racing vibe to this place, because it's a proper old school track. I think Oulton Park Appreciation Hour should probably finish soon, because we've probably blown so much smoke up its backside. It's untrue, but it's deservedly so.
Definitely. I made a trip down for the day back in August last year for the British Superbikes, and wow, coming up here through Clay Hill.
Oh yeah.
Oh my word, it's absolutely breathtaking. When you see a full pack of Superbikes coming up through there, it is just a sight to behold. And of course, coming through that, for me, it gives me a lot of pride that there's, on a circuit such as this, where Steve Hislop, one of Scotland's greatest ever sports people, had 9 wins here at Oulton Park, alongside his 11 TT wins and his 3 British championships. And of course the Hislop, or the Hizzy chicane, is just before. But if you, here on iRacing, of course, we don't have it in the real world really anymore, but here on iRacing you can basically delete the Britain chicane and the Hizzy chicane, and basically you're flat out all the way from Shell Oils to Clay Hill, which is how it used to be a long time ago. That must have been utterly terrifying going through there with no chicane.
Oh yeah, I mean, I, as you know, recently raced that layout in the Mazda MX-5 here on iRacing, and even in that car it was scary enough, doing 125 miles an hour nearly down towards Knickerbrook as a corner rather than a chicane. Just thinking, I'll just dab the brakes and chuck it in and just close your eyes and hope. It's such a scary layout indeed, but it's so much fun. There's a massive slipstreaming opportunity if you're not in cars that are rapid in a straight line. So yeah, it's got a bit of everything here, and I'm a huge fan, and I know that a lot of the drivers around here tonight will be enjoying themselves massively. Ryan Parkins in the YouTube chat said that the Porsche Esports Super Cup has a prize pool of 200,000, and of course the Porsche Club GB Esports, the Porsche Carrera Cup GB Esports has got 15 grand. But even still, I mean, it's a good prize pool, very different organisation in terms of the sort of outreach of it, and the overall organisation and the international sort of capabilities of it. But I think it's great to see that it's getting that. I actually had word off somebody a while ago that it was going to come about, but I think they were just aiming to do it themselves rather than it becoming an official thing as such. But it's great to see it, and it's just nice to see more appreciation for this car, because it really is. I mean, it's been nominated as one of 5 of iRacing's cars that are going to be named the best sim racing car, no matter what, like the best car in a sim in the VCO Simi Awards. But yeah, it's certainly a car that needs appreciating, and it's nice to see it, isn't it?
Indeed, yeah, and actually this is, of course, next year we're going to see the new version of this car, and I don't know when it will come onto the sim, but it will go out to customers all over the world. And the 9.9, let me get this right, the 9.1, oh god, I can't remember the acronym, the new one, basically. I think it's 911.2, I think it's called, or the 9, oh god, I don't know. I think it's too many numbers, but it is like a baby RSR Le Mans car. It's got way more. If you look at the back of this car here, it's got virtually no rear diffuser at all, or certainly not a big one. The new one is the new Cup car. It's got a massive rear diffuser. It's wider. It runs the turbo body for the first time. This car is 70% steel and 30% aluminium. The new car is 70% aluminium and 30% steel. It's got another 30 horsepower. It is a proper bit of kit. A lot more expensive, funnily enough. And as the only country, then of course we have Carrera Cups in North America, Asia, Germany, France, you name it. Do you know the only country in the world that's not going to get the new car in 2021?
Oh, I don't say it's us.
It is us.
Oh.
And I'm not going to say, but I could take one guess of why that is, bearing in mind that the cars have got to be here delivered within the next few weeks, or really the teams will need to get their hands on them by sort of January, maybe early February, to get them prepped, ready for the season beginning of April. But of course, there's a couple of logistical issues getting things through to the United Kingdom, which obviously just got a lot harder as well.
Yeah, I was going to say Manston Airport wouldn't be very welcoming of them. But yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful car, the new one. And like you say, it is a proper good-looking car. It looks, I mean, not to say these don't look like race cars, but I love the fact that you can distinguish these from a GT3 car. You know, they don't have the massive flared arches. They don't have they have the ridiculous wing, that's for sure, but there's just a few fiddly bits, like extra canards and things on the GT3 cars and the GTE cars that really distinguish it from this. These cars are really in a class of their own. They're usually GTC cars, aren't they? Amongst sort of mixed class grids, you have usually GT3, GTC and GT4. And I think the fact that these cars are so unique like that is what makes them great. And while the new car does look very aggressive, it's got the humongous arches, it's got the big diffuser that you've mentioned, I think they're getting a bit too close to GT3 cars, visually anyway, and I truly hope that the performance is very different to that of a GT3 car, which I imagine they're probably getting closer. But always there's a moment there for Carl Sharkey, but I think, to be honest, it's probably a very good, clever marketing ploy from Porsche to say, well, it's nowhere near anything close to the current Cup car, so you can't run them together anymore. So people don't try and get more life out of this one, which is a shame, really, because it's done really well, hasn't it, for itself?
Well, it's actually been really clever. So the Porsche Carrera Cup North America, which is an amalgamation of the American and the Canadian championships, they are going to run. So if you're in the kind of AM category, you can run the old one, and if you're in the pro category, you run the new one.
I like that a lot. No, that's the sort of stuff we enjoy. So Paul Rieger and Patrick Charlton is going to be the front row for this second race. Jamie Ward third with Mark Searle fourth. Then it's Stuart Clark and Andrew Soper, Andrew Marston and Carl Hazelton, with Mark Bowe and Ryan Penny rounding out your top 10. We will just very quickly scroll through the rest of the grid because it looks like everybody is pretty much ready to go here, other than Paul Rieger and Patrick Charlton funnily enough. Now, I wouldn't be too surprised if maybe out of a bit of frustration of the first race they've left, or, to be fair, I'm not sure if Paul Rieger had completed the race. Well, we know he dropped out, but whether he had some sort of hardware issues or something else going on, but hopefully not. And hopefully we do see him. But at the moment, it's Mark Searle on pole position. Patrick Charlton was on the grid for a second and then disappeared again. So Mark Searle may get a pole position start here for the final round, and he will. For the final round of Season 2 of the Porsche Club GB Sim Racing Championship, round 16 from Oulton Park is away. Looks like a good getaway for Mark Searle, but it looks like Stuart Clark's going to try and go around the outside of him. Oh, there's contact between Carl Hazelton and Mark Bowe. Carl was trying to open the gap up down the inside. We've got other cars off. That is the pink pig there. That is Andrew Marston, who's gone off. Stuart Clark, though, great stuff to take the lead. Let's have a quick look at the shenanigans behind. That was a real shame to see that contact, but I think, to be fair, we were lucky there, Peter, that nobody else got involved in that one, because we've seen bigger incidents at Turn 1 at Oulton Park.
Oh, yes, definitely. No, lucky indeed that we didn't get a bit more of a pile up there. See Ryan Parkins still just ahead of Matthew Dorrington as well. Oh no, Mark Searle in the Lechner Racing beat up. Oh, but Parkins has got problems. Parkins has got problems. The King Hippo has been bumped. And he goes, now that is just a little bit of a typical Shell Oils hairpin pile up there. But Ryan Parkins all the way back to 23rd position. It's been frantic in this opening lap.
Yeah, I think maybe a little bit of contact going through the Shell Oils, bend up the hill into the hairpin, maybe put him on the grass and just slowed him up. Matt Dorrington has already gained 14 positions on this first lap of this race. He's on a real mission to round out his championship with some strong performances. He was great last time out as well, and now it looks like he's going to do that even more. But Andrew Marston and Ryan Penny, unfortunately, out of this one. Mark Johnson, oh, Mark's had a big one. That's a scary moment up there. Very, very fast part of the circuit. Back further up the field, though, the guys inside the top 10 that started there have all seemed to drop away. Stuart Clark has... Oh, actually, don't forget, everyone's going to have gained 3 freebies because of the guys that didn't start the race, so the positions gained on our screens may be a bit different to what is true. But not too bad an opening lap, really. There was the odd bit of contact here and there, but I think everybody got away with it pretty well.
Yeah, all things considered, I think so, yes. No real big clean-out job, so... No, that's good. Just an update on Paul Rieger. He's been having internet issues tonight, so he decided to take himself to start from pit lane for the second race. So that was obviously what he was dealing with. Well, oh, God. Now, I actually think maybe Ryan was either made a mistake or was just actually had to go onto the grass to try and avoid any worse contact than he already had. As, oh, Mark Searle loses it. That's cold tyres off the barrier, and then all of a sudden everyone else comes onto the scene. So riding on board with Ryan Parkins, what happens? He's a lot... Oh, Carl runs into the back of Caravan Carl. Oh, dear. He was just a lot later on the brakes there, and Carl moved across and there was no room there. Just a racing incident. I wouldn't put blame on that to anyone, Chaz, unless you want to get your amateur steward hat on again as usual.
No, in all fairness, like you say, I think Ryan just a little bit hot on the brakes there, maybe just focusing on Oliver next to him and just missed his braking point a little bit. We've all done it. But at the front of the field, Stuart Clark is flying away here. Mark Bowe is in second place. Mark, of course, involved in that contact as... Oh, it's kicked off behind. Who was that? James Cummings and Angus Archer. I'm trying to click on him. There he is. The pair of them going off the circuit. Maybe a bit of contact between the two. Let's have a look. So Amrik Sashdev. Oh, Angus loses it down the inside. Oh, you can see that James knew it was going to happen, but there's not a lot you can do there, is there?
No, that is just really bad luck there for the Doom Bar machine, James Cummings. So Ryan Parkins is back on the move. Now, interestingly, I wonder, Ryan Parkins is not, bearing in mind that was on lap 1, Ryan Parkins has not gone through to pit lane, probably because he, thought it was a racing incident, which I guess it was. But this is the only. I think on the whole, the orange zone rule is a very good rule. However, I think it does require self-policing, and sometimes there can be a little bit of confusion on what constitutes an orange zone penalty or not. So, obviously there's quite a bit of damage on the back of Carl Sharkey's car, but also Ryan. So it's a difficult one. That's the only slight issue with the orange zone rule is that it's self-policing, but you've kind of got to. Well, it's always up for conjecture, if you like.
Yeah, I think maybe the way Ryan's seeing it at the moment is that Carl got away with it. He didn't even go off circuit. He went a little bit wide into the hairpin, but he was the first car to then go past Ryan once he'd stopped. So I think in his belief that Carl got away with it, he's all right. As Bernie's off. No, Bernie ending the season with a spin at Druids. He's going to rejoin onto the Apex, and he knows there's no other cars coming by the look of it. Johnny Elia now on Chris Bowie. Oh, as everybody freight trains poor Chris Bowie there on the apex of Lodge. It's so easy to lock it up, get the car stopped there, and people just fly by. But I do want to look at our King Hippo again, because he's now down the inside of Patrick Charlton, two of the greats of this series racing together. Door to door, boys, no, they've locked together. Oh, that looked very visually similar to the two Toyotas taking themselves off at Brands Hatch in the touring cars, that.
Oh, yeah, the car in the barrier is a Porsche.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Ryan gets a bit of the curb on the inside, and they touch doors, and I wonder, Chaz, you know these things better than I do, was that a bit of a kind of technical issue where the cars, sometimes they kind of get stuck together like Velcro sometimes?
Yeah, I think
there's a little bit of a fault in the system. Oh, Carl! Oh!
Oh, they're making us work for this. Amrik Sashdev's off as well. We've had Colin Tall off the circuit. Colin Tall, Gary Tall, flipping heck, they're all over the shop. Right, we've got a bit to dissect here. James Cummings has gone off. This is going down the hill. He's had another run in with Angus Archer, has he? That's Patrick Charlton. Oh, he's focused on what's going on in front, and he's off into the wall. Then I think we had an issue with Carl Sharkey. Dan Bathy's down the inside. There's a touch. Oh, Paul Rieger into him. That's nothing to do with his internet issues. Carl gets back on it. Gary Tall was off around the edge of the circuit. Who else was it that went off? I'm trying to remember. Amrik Sashdev's gone rally crossing. Nearly hits Johnny Elia, who then gets overtaken by Matt Dorrington and Dan Bathy. Wow. My mouse is going to overheat in a minute with the amount of clicking I'm having to do all this, but it's epic racing all the same. It's so entertaining, isn't it?
God, it's going to be the 24 hours of Crime Stoppers in this one. My goodness. Now, what do we always say this? We were commentating on the Simracersworld TCR season finale a couple of weeks ago, Chaz, and Patrick Charlton. What? I'm a rookie. Be nice to me. This is not very, very club-like. He's getting barged all over the shop. Well, this we talk about it a little bit, don't we, Chaz, about the last day of school syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's a bit of that coming in here, isn't there? That sort of, you can sort of get away with more on the last day of school.
Oh, definitely. You certainly can, mate. And these guys, they'll just be having a lot of fun out there. They know a lot of championships in this series have already been decided, so they are having a lot of fun. But just coming back to the incident we saw between Ryan Parkins. Oh, Carl's off again.
Oh!
The incident we saw...
got touched by Dorrington.
Oh. I've just seen as well, Danny Jones was off. Byron Crawford does get punted. Danny Jones now, let's see what happened here, and then we'll very quickly... Oh, Danny's lost it. Oh, it's actually a separate incident to what Carl Sharkey's had go on. Carl's already off, and then Byron gets hit by Dorrington, like you say. But again, I'll try and get back to it at some point. The incident between Charlton and Parkins, you're exactly right. I think just the two rear wheels, because obviously the track on the back of these cars is a lot wider than it is on the front, and just the two rear wheels just sticking together sort of bounced Parkins' car into Patrick's a little bit more as he ran wide off the curb, as you pointed out. And just that little bit of contact did lock them together, unfortunately, and has sort of ruined their races.
As you look at Dan Bathy really trying to weave and get by Gilles Gardner, but Gilles not letting him have it. Dan Bathy, I think he can sense now that he's seen Dorrington hit problems, he thinks, I can win this race. I can go! Round the outside. Round the outside Island Bend. Not advisable, as you can see. Oh, there goes Gilles. Oh, here he comes. Oh, T-bone steak. Kept on ice, thankfully. God.
Oh. I tell you what. People say you drink more at Christmas. I'm going to need to after this, honestly. Oh, wow. But still, epic stuff once again from the Porsche Club GB Sim Racing Championship. Plenty of entertainment. Stuart Clark still leads this race there. Mark Bow is second. Dan Bathy making his way up the order. 23 places gained now in this race for him. Colin Wynn. No! Colin. And Chris Bowie. What's going on, boys? Have they all had a drink as well? Oh, we've got... Oh, who else is off? Cowardine and Riga. Help. I don't know where to look. Oh.
Who's put an oil slick down?
Right, well, let's dissect
if
this.
If drop oil, it might as well be Petro-Canada fine lubricants for your Porsche.
Yes. So Colin Wynn unfortunately does it on his own. Oh, so Chris Bowie's around. Riga then hits Penny. Gets hit by Sashdev. Carwadine loses it on his own as well. Carl Sharkey's got a view of all of this coming down there thinking, oh, I didn't know they had a new car park at Oulton. But, oh, good lord. Mark Johnson now in the Bombardier machine. He's under pressure now from Gary Tall and Carl Hazelton, who's obviously just getting held up with these guys. He's usually the quickest guy out on track. But, oh, there was a humongous bang from upstairs then. I don't know if you heard that. I think maybe the child's dropped the iPad again. But Angus Archer, he's well in the thick of this, isn't he? He's had a bit of contact here and there. He's had a bit of argy-bargy. So's Byron Crawford, but I can imagine that if all these guys were in one Discord chat together, they'd all be laughing their nads off, wouldn't they? They'd be absolutely loving this.
This is carnage, absolute carnage. To show you, this is a really, really tricky circuit as well. We were not exaggerating. Here goes Matt Dorrington now trying to recover up the inside of Gilles Gardner. Ooh, makes it nice and clean and precise. Very good. What we normally come to expect from Matt Dorrington, but watch Dan Barry. He's the man on the move. He knows he's got his opportunity to get that race win and take that sacred coffee machine to the top of the podium.
You wanted to say Victory Lane there, didn't you?
I could do, yeah, you could, because they have in America they have Gatorade Victory Lane at the Daytona International Speedway, so we could have the sacred coffee podium.
It would be, oh no, Mark Baxter Jones has put it in a wall. If it was round here, it'd probably be the Cheshire Cheese Darling Victory Lane presented by Joanna Lumley. As Mark Baxter Jones just shows you how easy it is on an old school racing circuit to just pop a wheel onto the grass and lose it. It's my favourite sort of circuit though. There's no getting it wrong here. I was on the broadcast the other day around Zandvoort, and I'm not a huge fan of Zandvoort, maybe because I'm terribly slow around there and I just can't get on with the circuit in terms of a driving sense, but it's very much like Oulton Park is a very old school track where you don't get any fancy runoffs, you don't get any sort of second chances. If you put a wheel off the circuit, off what is known as, of course, the white lines of the actual track itself, you know, track limits, then you get punished for it because there's grass, there's gravel, there's tyre barriers. You don't get a chance. I imagine Dan Bathy probably considered leaving track limits there for that one.
He was, honestly, I think he had his hand out the window there trying to slow him down, and I think Stephen Kershaw says, do you know what, mate, you can have it. You know, it's pretty good piece, and on you go.
I don't want the stress.
Send us a sleeve of sacred coffee pods in the post as a thank you. Well, it's worth square. It's okay. Right, so Dan Bathy's up to third, but he has Mark Bow to worry about, and Stuart Clark is a way off into the distance. So he's got, about 6.5 minutes or so. We know Dan Bathy has got just as much pace as anybody. Finished second in the first race. This would be quite a win. He's dispatched with Matt Dorrington for now. I think he probably has got him dispatched with him. Look at that difference in time. So, he's using all the circuit there as well. Brilliant stuff from Dan Bathy. Not only the best looking car on the track, Jaeger Bull aside, it's also one of the fastest. So let's see, can Dan Bathy win this motor race?
Well, he did a 37.3 last time round. That was his best lap of the race. Matt Dorrington did a 36.1, 1.2 seconds quicker. Now you've got to obviously consider the fact that Dan had to get past Stephen Kershaw as well, and maybe was slowed up a little bit into the chicane, but he's got 10 seconds. It was 11 seconds, though, to gain on race leader Stuart Clark. He's got to get through Mark Bow first. Amrik Sashdev's gone off the circuit, unfortunately. Oh, and that's not where you want to go off, is it? We've all done this. Let's have a look. Is it just a bit too hot into Island Bend? Yep. Once you're on that grass, you ain't coming back, are you?
You just like somehow missed the wall, somehow missed the wall. No,
No.
it's there for a reason, I think, if you could say, to try and stop some T-bone steaks being served out at Shell Oils. Of course, that's why it's so slippy. If it was Petro Canada oils, it wouldn't be cause such a problem.
Oh, love it. Absolutely love it. I'm going to miss, we're going to miss all the puns and everything, I'm sure, from having any sort of off-season from this championship. But this is the definite moment now. Last 5 minutes of the season underway. Dan Bathy, third place at the moment, 1.5 seconds off Mark Bowe. He's gained almost 3 seconds on Stuart Clark, your race leader, on that last lap. Stuart did a 1:38.1. It was a 1:38.4 for Mark Bowe. It was a 1:35.9 for Dan Bathy. He is on it, mate. Dorrington's in the pits as well.
Dorrington's hit problems. Okay. So Dan Bathy doesn't have to worry about Dorrington coming from behind. Comes back. Oh, he's had a big chance.
That's odd. Dorrington's had a real moment somewhere. I'm not sure whether he saved a drive-through or something, because he was only in the pit lane for 20 seconds, so that's just a drive-through. But we'll go back on with Dan Bathy, because it's just great to ride on board with these cars, and I want to get as much of this in as we can. Mark Phillips has had another incident further down. Unfortunately, he's dropping places as well, and he seems to have gotten going again.
Well, I tell you what, Mark's mum, Mrs. Bowe, never misses a race, and she will be at the edge of her seat, I'm sure. Hello, Mrs. Bowe, hope you're enjoying it. And Dan Bathy here trying his absolute hardest. Now, but it's so narrow through here, all one line. Look at that. Dan goes, Mark's made a mistake. Oh, they're going to come together. No. Oh, Dan just slithers up the inside. But that was a great example, Chaz, of just how much they're on the tightrope of grip.
Really is. And, of course, good pressure from Dan Bathy straight away. You know, Mark would have been watching the times come down and seeing the pressure Dan put on him. And that is vital for Dan trying to take the win in this race, because he's been held up for as little time as possible. He did not waste any time in getting past Mark Bowe. He saw his opportunity and he thought, right, let's crack on. He's done another personal best, a 36.47 last time around. It was a 38.29 from Stuart Clark. There is Stuart at the top of his shot, just going up through the island bend. We'll have a look at him, seeing as he's been all out on his own so far this race. There is the drawing board number 23 machine, and then if we look back 6.7 seconds, I was hoping the camera would stay on the same shot, there is Dan Bathy. So 6.5 seconds to gain. We'll bring up the battle box in the bottom right for you, and you can see this gap coming down. Let's just get rid of the dashboard for one and enjoy these final couple of laps of the championship, because, well, as promised, Peter, we've been given a real treat here.
Yeah, what a thrilling conclusion, and this is like a time trial now, isn't it? Dan Bathy absolutely on it. He knows he's got the pace, and he's just got to actually be careful now not to overdrive, because he can't afford a mistake. He's got to be inch perfect all the way through these last couple of laps. And I think actually, Chaz, this is going to come down to when the white flag comes out to signify the last lap. Now, I think it should be 2 to go at the line. Yes, it will be.
Yeah, 2 to go next time round, because we've got just over 2 minutes and it's a minute and a half for a lap. So there's a nice little bit of grey area in the middle there for Stuart Clark to deal with. We had a couple of other cars go off in the background, but honestly, it's worth staying on board with this and watching the chase, and just watching and appreciating one of these cars getting absolutely launched around a fantastic track like Oulton. Dan Bathy, one of the perfect drivers to go on board with for something like this. He's been rapid all season. We tipped him as one of the favourites for the championship. He's certainly been up there in terms of his performance, but when you're up against someone like Ryan Parkins, it is hard to keep that. 4.8 seconds now the gap, as you can see in the bottom right corner up through Island Bend. You can see as well just how hesitant he is on the initial turn-in this car, and that signifies really to anybody watching, doesn't it, how sensitive they are.
Oh, they're super sensitive and super communicative, which means when you spend the time to get to know this car and you go back to something else, another car feels like tepid pudding compared to this thing, because it just tells you everything. You get that fetus of information coming through your hands. And even, I for example, I run with a really basic steering wheel, not a direct drive fancy gizmo like a lot of these guys have. And even then, what it tells you compared to another car is really, really communicative. But the trade-off is that it's on the edge, it's on the knife all the time. So Stuart Clark, it's going to be one to go when he comes over the line, and Dan Bathy is just carving time out of him. But this is going to be close. It might take a mistake from Stuart here, Chaz.
I'd say it would, yeah. He's got 3.3 seconds now back to Dan Bathy. It's 3.6 across the line. I think Dan might have been pushing a little bit too hard. There is the visual difference between the two. Last lap of the championship now. Stuart Clark leads this race by 3.6 seconds over the line. What can Dan Bathy do about bringing it down ever further? You've just got to think one clean lap is all Stuart needs here. It's a little bit close further back, by the way. Johnny Elia on the back of Patrick Charlton. He's pushing hard. Matt Dorrington also right behind Carl Sharkey. That's a good battle between those pair. But we do have to stay at the front, sorry.
Stuart Clark put in his best lap time of the race. Personal best lap for Stuart Clark last time around. So really answering to the pressure from Dan Bathy. But, this is going to be so close. But I think it might just be a bit too much of an ask. We'll see. Was that a mistake? I don't know.
It looked a bit out of shape. Now, Stuart's only got half a lap, if that, to hold on now, but it just so happens to be a half lap of probably the most difficult part of circuit in the UK. He's got Knickerbrook to deal with. Then he's got to get on the power nice and easy, up Clay Hill. Stay flat through there if you dare. Up over the crest, settle the car back down. Get it flicked into the left. Get it diving down onto the brakes, into Druids, double apex right. Make sure you're not on the power too early. Get ready for the wheel spin on the exit. He's taking it nice and easy. It looks like it's going to be a beautiful win. It's been a hell of a chase by Dan Bathy, but Stuart Clark absorbing the pressure from behind. And it's number 23, the drawing board Porsche, that will win this race. Stuart Clark rounds out the season with a win. Beautiful drive.
Brilliant stuff from Stuart Clark under the most immense pressure. Really holds out well. And Dan Bathy, a 135.998 on that last lap. He threw everything at it. Who's going to get it? Is it going to be Kershaw? Is it going to be Johnny Elia? Just Johnny Elia. Wow, that was close. Patrick Charlton comes through for 6th spot. But you got to say, Chaz, Stuart Clark, what an immense drive to hold off. It's nothing worse when you see the car behind you just carving time out, time and time again. But he really kept his cool. He would have had sweaty palms in there, that's for sure. But brilliant stuff from Stuart Clark.
Yeah, indeed. That was a great, great drive. And like you say, when you can't see the car that's chasing you for a lot of it, but you can just see that the numbers are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and there's nothing you can do because you've not got that visual cue of what the other car's doing. It's horrible. And trust me, as someone that's not very quick in the sim, I'm used to getting caught by drivers quite a lot. It is vile. But Stuart Clark held on so well there and put in a great performance to round out the championship. Of course, Ryan Parkins is your champion. But to be fair, right now, Stuart Clark is going to feel like he is the champion as Johnny Elia and Stephen Kershaw cutting parts of the circuit there, ignoring the chicanes, which is always nice and fun. But unfortunately, that is the last race of the season. And we'll have the results for you now. And of course, for old time's sake, we'll get Peter MacKay to run through them if you'd do us the honours, mate.
Well, confirming then, Stuart Clark, the number 23, running the same number as the great Michael Jordan on his basketball jersey, and that was a performance worthy of the great Michael Jordan on 4 wheels. Dan Bathy ran him all the way, just 1.5 seconds off the win, starting from the back of the pack, don't forget. Brilliant drive from the Sacred Coffee back driver. Mark Bowe finished 3rd, a good drive from him. Johnny Elia was 4th, followed by Stephen Kershaw in 5th. Patrick Charlton was 6th, with Byron Crawford 7th. Mark Bernie Phillips recovering to 8th. Carl Sharkey was 9th after certainly a busy race for Carl, and Chris Bowie finished in 10th. Matt Dorrington, not quite as clean a race as race 1. He finished in 11th, followed by Mark Baxter-Jones, Mark Johnson, Andrew Soper, Danny Jones, Carl Hazelton from Porsche Centre Chester, with they sell Porsches. Buy one if you want. Amrik Sashdev was 17th, and Oliver Carbadine finished in 18th. Colin Wynn was 19th, followed by Gilles Gardner, Jamie Ward, Andrew Marston, Mark Sell, Angus Archer, Gary Tall, Paul Rieger, Ryan Penny, Ryan Parkins, we don't see that name down the bottom very much. And thanks for hiding that one, Chaz. Great. James Phillips, 29.
Love it. Thank you very much, Peter. Pleasure as always. But, well, we were certainly expecting a bit of a lively one tonight. And that's what we got, wasn't it? Certainly got given a lively one there. But Stuart Clark, effectively second on the grid for that one. To be at the front all that time is not easy. So what a brilliant drive.
Oh, absolutely. And he must have been looking in his mirror watching unbridled carnage ensue behind him, thinking, oh, hello, got a bit of a chance here.
Indeed. Well, he joins us in the interview room now. Stuart, congratulations first off, but those last few laps, I mean, we were obviously very excited up here in the commentary box watching Dan Bathy take chunks of time out of you, but I imagine that was a bit of a nerve-wracking experience, was it?
I was going to say, you were excited. Flipping hell.
Oh, hang on, mate. Hang on. Try again. There you go. I couldn't hear you then.
Can you hear me?
Just about. Very, very quietly. Very quietly.
That better?
Yeah, there you go.
I'll
There
try
you
and shout. Yeah, I was so nervous towards the end. I could, like you said, he was just taking chunks of time out of me, and I was trying to keep my speed up, but at the same time go slow enough that I didn't make any mistakes.
And that's
So
not.
yeah, that's really, really difficult.
And it's not easy on a circuit like Oulton Park, is it? I mean, all night we've obviously paid tribute to how difficult this circuit is to just get a clean lap in around because of how narrow it is, but how bumpy it is as well. It's a very oscillating circuit. I mean, Joachim Winkelhock very famously described it as a mini Nürburgring. Do you agree with that sentiment after tonight?
Oh, we definitely. That track I find it so difficult. When we did the practice race last week, I think I crashed 5 times.
Mm.
And obviously, I don't know if you saw, but I spun several times in the first race. It was, I really, really struggled trying to get consistent quick laps out of this track. So
Well,
yeah, I'm kind of relieved it's over.
I'm not surprised, mate. But at least you put all of them together when it mattered, out in the front.
Indeed.
I know that it's a scary prospect no matter who you've got behind you, but when you've got drivers like Dan really chasing you down, I mean, Peter and I, we applaud you massively. You did an absolutely epic job. Isn't that right, Peter?
Thank you.
Oh, that was superb. I mean, I can't. It's so hard to explain how much tension there is when you see that lap delta coming down, and you know that Dan's one of the fastest guys in the championship. I mean, what was that like, Stuart? It must have been pretty. You must have had sweaty palms, I would think.
I was pretty sweaty, but when I knew I was starting near the front, I tend to do quite well on cold tyres. So I thought, as long as I get a clean, good start, try and push out a bit of a gap, and that's the best I can do as long as I keep on the track. And luckily for me, today it was enough.
Well, you certainly did it at the right time, mate. Epic
Yeah.
stuff. What have you made of this season as a whole then? Because I mean, there's been some beautiful racing at pretty much every round we've had, and especially when the car's not as easy to drive, it's been a really good thing all round, hasn't it?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I've taken part in both seasons. The first season, I think, was a learning activity for all of us. I got involved in many accidents I shouldn't have done. But in this season's been, from my perspective, it seems to have been a lot cleaner, really good close racing, so I've really enjoyed it.
Well, I'm really glad you have, mate. And it's been a great thing to have on Simracersworld TV. We really enjoyed doing it. Peter and I have had such a laugh in their commentary box. And it's great to see that the drivers have enjoyed themselves out there as well. But obviously, last chance this season to do so. But do you want to give anybody a quick shout out before you go, Stuart?
Well, first of all, thank you to both of you two guys. I always watch the broadcast back and I really, really enjoy it. It's great.
Thank you very much, mate.
Obviously, thank you very much to all the organisers. There are loads of them. Obviously, Mark's the guy who set it all up. And then, of course, my sponsors, the drawingboard.pub, which is a pub in Leamington, so Leamington Spa. So when all this COVID stuff's all over, make sure to check them out. So yeah, thanks again, and I look forward to season 3.
We certainly do as well, Stuart. Great to speak to you, mate. Well done again, and we'll see you next time round. Cheers. Great to speak to Stuart. Like we said, an absolutely amazing performance there. And we have with us now a driver who we've not spoken to too many times, it's safe to say, here on Simracersworld TV. Unfortunately, we cut to a shot of the car in the pits, but to be fair, Peter, Andrew Marston is the driver of probably one of our favourite cars on the grid, the Pink Pig. And Andy, you've had a very busy season this season, haven't you? It certainly looks like a challenge, this car.
Hi Chaz, hi Peter. You know what, I never thought I'd get to the commentary box, to be quite honest.
Scared of the stairs, or?
Yeah, it has been a challenge, to be fair. I started, obviously, sim racing. I think the first race was Donington, season 1. And that was my first ever sim race. And I think I was about 20 seconds off the pace. And I just couldn't believe how these drivers could just go so fast. But I was hooked, absolutely hooked, and absolutely love it. You know, these guys are actually brilliant. And yeah, it's just a great thing to be a part of.
Well, we really are glad to have you on the grid, Andrew. It's been brilliant to watch this season. And to be honest, I mean, Peter, we've been commenting on the development of these drivers all season, haven't we? There's just been so much hard work put in by all of them, hasn't there?
Yeah, I think absolutely. Funnily enough, Andy, we did mention the first race at Donington on the broadcast, and the difference of how not only yourself but absolutely everybody on the grid has made a huge leap up in level in such a short space of time. It's amazing that the whole paddock's only been going for 6 months, and you know you've been in it at the start. And I have to say, as you know, I'm a bit of a motor racing nerd, and I love a good Pink Pig reference as well. So you running a classic Porsche livery gives me a chance to bore Chaz for a few minutes.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I mean, the guys have sort of helped me out throughout the season, really, through season 1, season 2. I mean, you know, you got people like Mark Phillips who spent literally a Friday afternoon of his time taking me around Donington on that very first track, and he was pointing out the braking points, that kind of thing. You know, you've got people like Gavin Halls as well. He sends me his race settings so that I can, you know, use Gavin's race settings. But the only problem with that is I don't have his talent. So, you know, that's what I need now is Gavin's talent. The other guys, you know, Matt, you know, Ryan Parkins, for instance, you know, what a champion he is. He sort of contacts me and says, you know, try this, Andy, try that. And that's really brought me along, really. I've got slightly quicker. I'm not there yet, obviously, and I always start at the back. But yeah, I feel like it's a slow process, and I'm getting there. And I love the car. I think this Cup car is superb, absolutely superb. But I still don't know how the fast guys do it. I've still got a lot to learn. But you know, but we're getting there. It's a slow job.
Well, to be fair, Andy, we did have another reason as well for bringing you in here this evening, because I'm just going to bring up an image on the broadcast that was sent to us by Matt Dorrington recently. Now, he wanted us to award something that they've called the Midas Cup, which is to be awarded to the driver who they feel has most embodied the culture and ethos of the league. They've basically written to us themselves and said, Andy has not only put masses of hard work into improving his own racing, so bearing in mind that you're the number one driver in terms of safety rating as well, you've given back to the group and helped everybody understand, every new sim driver understand the journey that you've been on through 2 seasons of racing. If I can get my words out, it'd be a nice little sentiment, wouldn't it? They've basically said you're an amazing part of the community, mate, and you know they're really happy with what they built this year and the fact that they want to show your contributions and recognise that and your achievements with the trophy that is now being shown on there. So we are very pleased to announce that you have been awarded the Midas Cup for this season, Andy. So well done from both of us.
Oh, thank you. That's terrific. Incredible. Yeah, I'm lost for words, to be honest, and that's not like me. Yeah, that's lovely. A lovely thought. Superb. Really is. Thank you. Thank you to all the guys.
Well, it's very, very well deserved.
I couldn't do it without them. They're just so good. You know, a lot goes on behind the scenes, what you don't see. You know, you've got Colin as well, Colin Wynn. You know, he sort of spends a lot of time with me. Mark Sell, my old grid partner, you know, we sort of race together at the back, and we're sort of, you know, that we have his own little race at the back. Basically, he sort of does my time and I do his. We have a lot of fun, but that's great. Thank you. Thanks for thanks for that. I'm a bit stunned, actually. Thank you.
Well, very well done, mate. Very well done. I have just dragged old Bernie himself in here, Mark Phillips, just to see if he has any words on this as well. Mark, you've had a busy night, mate, but obviously, you've said it yourself. Obviously, Andy, a very deserving recipient of this award.
Yeah, absolutely. So Andy, we talked about this very early on in the season when Matt came up with this absolutely awesome trophy, and we decided that we were going to call it the Midas Cup, but we hadn't decided what the criteria would be for awarding the Midas Cup. And basically, after about halfway through the season, we just saw how much you were improving because you were focusing so much on trying to improve. But more importantly, it was how much you were welcoming the new group into season 2. All the people who hadn't sim raced before, the efforts that you went to welcome them into the community and welcome them into sim racing and get them to understand the journey that you had been through too as well. We just thought that, we wanted to give some recognition to you for that, because as much as we know this is about racing and we love the racing and stuff like that, overridingly this is about a community that we've built here of all trying to improve together, and nobody has embodied that better than yourself, Andy. So we really wanted to just sort of recognize that hard work that you've put in.
Well, thanks very much. It's a massive compliment, that. I'm really stunned. I'm shocked. It's great. The group is all the drivers in the league are fantastic. They really are. And I've seen the new guys coming in, and what I wanted to do is just help them, really, because I know how I felt on my first race at Donington. I felt that I'd like to just, explain what I went through, and if I could help them in some way, they wouldn't make the same mistakes as I did. And if I could do that, then I would be happy, really. And it's great to see some of the guys coming on now and sort of getting good lap times and that kind of thing, and that makes me quite happy, actually, that to do that. I just want to help them along and do the best for them, really. Well, it's great. Thank you.
It's really been a joy to watch it this season, Andy, so very well done. Obviously, like you say, a lot does go on behind the scenes that isn't often seen on the broadcast or captured by the broadcast, but it was obviously well decided by these guys to award that. So congratulations from us. And before we let you go, is there anybody you would like to give a quick shout out to while you're on the stream?
I better mention the wife, Sam, because I spend quite a lot of time in the evening up on my sim practicing. She doesn't see me really all week. So so thanks, Sam. Thanks for being understanding. And my nephews as well, Jack and Joel. They tune in every race. They've got very little to cheer for me, but they always tune in and watch me. But that's it, really. But thank you to you as well, Chaz and Peter, because you do a fantastic broadcast.
Thank you very much.
And you make it so professional. It's bang on. It really is.
Even with the poo on jokes and everything. But
exactly. Yeah.
It's been a real joy, Andy. Thank you very much. Well done again from us, and we'll see you definitely in season 3.
Lovely. Cheers, then. Thanks.
And then Chaz makes the mess of it by leaving the interview and broadcast booth himself. We're still joined, of course, by Mark Phillips as well, old Bernie. But you had a lively one in that race, but still managed a top 10, mate. How did you do that?
I think as per usual, I just capitalised on other people's mistakes and tried to keep it consistent. I had a couple of interesting moments, a couple of interesting punts, and then just some outright losing concentration. I don't know how I managed to get to the top 10 on that one. I think. I started to drive a little bit angry after one of my punts, which for some reason I ended up going quicker, which doesn't usually work like that. But race 1, I was on for a wonderful battle with Carl. I was right on his bumper in race 1, and I thought, oh, this is going to be fun. And I was really looking forward to it. And then I got taken out. It's like, oh no. But this is, this is half the fun with this league, and half the challenge is trying to, it's trying to make the best of the situation and try and learn from it and help others learn from it. So it's been tremendous fun. It's like you guys pointed out, you look back at Donington from season 1 back in April, which is only, 8 months ago. And you look at the quality of racing now across the group, and it's amazing how the group has come together so well to produce such fantastic racing. It's really good fun to watch. I shall thoroughly enjoy watching the broadcast back tomorrow.
Well, you're saying all of this while we've got you in slow-mo going through what looks like a war zone of Porsches just spinning and crashing and going all over the place. But it's part of the entertainment of the series. It's a difficult car to drive. It's a difficult circuit to get right, Oulton Park. Even in the, you could put it around here in the Pontiac Solstice, or the Slowstice as it's lovingly known, and there would be the same sort of thing going on. You know, it's not easy to get any car around here, never mind this Porsche Cup car. But it's really sort of handed itself to, the racing has handed itself to how good a car this is. And, I mean, like you say, from Donington to now, I mean, Peter and I, one of the main things we always talk about is the development. Like the drivers that first got on it back in April, and they really didn't quite understand how to sort of tune into the feel through just the wheel, you know, not getting the actual forces of the car through your backside and the actual G-forces. But once you've won that battle in getting used to it, some of these guys have got real pace now, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. You see the folks who were midfielders or even dragging towards the back, even at the beginning of this season, and you see the consistency. You see how fast Dan Bathy is now. I mean, he always had potential to be fast, but he didn't have the consistency. But now he's pulling it together. You know, I can see Dan being a season 3 contender, absolutely. And then you've got the likes of Stu Clark, who won race 2 this evening. Mark Bowe, Baxter Jones, they're all so quick now. And I remember when we first started last season, I was actually quicker than a lot of those guys, and now not a chance. I can't stay now. It's fantastic to watch though, and I'm getting real enjoyment out of seeing these folks improve and just seeing the league just becoming, high quality racing. You can get some really good door-to-door racing in it.
And that's part of the beauty of it as well. I mean, I mentioned that I recently joined the virtual paddock in Discord, and it's not just respectful out on track and good banter out on track and in the broadcast as well. It's throughout. It's every day. It's all the time. It's just really is phenomenal, Mark. And what you and the guys have built here really is a thing of beauty. And like I say, me and Peter are both very grateful for you having us on. We've enjoyed it thoroughly, and we do, of course, hope there is a season 3. But we must sort of wrap things up, unfortunately. Is there any sort of final word from you that we can count on?
I just want to say thanks to the entire group for making this what it is, because I can say things over and over again, and it doesn't really matter. It takes everybody to enact them, and it's the group, the community, the behaviors, the help, everything they do that makes this such a special thing to be a part of. I didn't set out to be a league organizer. This was an absolute accident that I am in this position. And it's really, really nice that the group of folks that we've got partaking in this and building this community have made it so enjoyable. I do enjoy doing this now, and I enjoy doing it as a league organizer, and that's because of the entire group that we've got. I can't wait for next year. We've got some really good ideas for season 3. We've got at least 10 or 15 drivers waiting, so nice. We're anticipating a couple of different races. It should be a lot of fun, and you guys hopefully will be along for it.
Well, you can count me in, mate. Definitely, we'll obviously get all that sorted. Even if he's going to be dragged kicking and screaming, I'll make sure that Peter's in the box with me, and we can deliver some of our obviously upper class toilet puns with that as well. I'd be up for that. What about you, Peter?
Absolutely, you can't flush us out that easy.
Indeed. But honestly, thank you, Mark. It really has been a pleasure, mate, and well done on such a phenomenal season. And like you say, mate, we'll see you in 2021. Have a wonderful Christmas and New Year, buddy.
You too, gents. Thank you both.
Cheers.
So, jam.
How do we round out on this, Peter? Because I don't think there's many words strong enough really to round up how brilliant this season's been.
Absolutely, it's been really superb. I mean, where do you begin? I mean, Dan Bathy particularly really getting up there and running with super quick drivers, Matt Donington and Ryan Parkins. We've had a couple of new tracks as well, Suzuka, and of course, who could forget our visit to Road Atlanta and how much fun that was. And I'm sure we'll get some more new circuits next season as well, which will be a whole lot of fun. But I think also we've got to give huge credit to our double champion Ryan Parkins, who not only is he a winner, but wins with pure class as well. Never see him barging people off ever. Apart from today, of course. But obviously Ryan is a super clean driver. So many wins, and as I've always said, he's won the championship with his race 2 performances, and a thoroughly deserving champion. And yeah, it's been a pleasure to be involved.
It really has. Thank you, everybody that's been watching all of the broadcasts. Thank you, of course, to the guys at Porsche Club GB for asking Peter and I back for this season. We have enjoyed it massively, and we hope you have too. On to 2021 though, and season 3 of this wonderful championship. Thanks as always to Ian Roots at Simracersworld as well for helping us to put all of this together and getting it all organised. Thanks to Mark and the guys behind the series. There's so many thank yous. I really do apologise if I've forgotten anybody. Thank you, of course, to you, Peter, as well. And I'm sure that on Boxing Day we'll both raise a glass to one another in the VCO Simi Commentary Awards as well. So make sure that everybody, you do keep an eye out for that, because one of us could potentially take that, and I would love the fact that we may end up getting there. But either way, the main thing tonight has been that the Porsche Club GB Sim Racing Championship has concluded, and it has done it in one of the most dramatic ways possible at Oulton Park with a real corker of a race meeting. But that's all from us. We'll see you in 2021. Have yourselves a wonderful evening, a Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. We'll see you soon.